What's going on, YouTube? Drano's back at it again, bringing you guys another video. So back at it here with the long anticipated Madden 22 beta review. Yes, we're finally here today to really just give my thoughts on the game and where it's at and kind of what the beta, the impressions that the beta made on me throughout the duration of the time that I used it. Now, I will say I do like how, at least with this year, unlike with other years, they have decided to make it a 2-week beta. I think that's really cool how they were able to do that, just because in years past, it was maybe like a weekend at the most. But I feel like it's hard to really give any viable feedback just from playing the game a couple of days. I do like how they did something different and gave us a couple weeks to try it out. With like most other games, I feel like whenever they do beta testing, they give their players at least a little bit longer than just a weekend. So we're back at it here though. But before we go ahead and get started with this video, just some housekeeping notes. Number one, if you guys are enjoying the content so far, I'd appreciate you guys hitting that like button. Just you know, we're back at it. I know for me, like, I'm kind of on the tail end where I am starting to get a little burnt out on the Madden 21 content as far as like gameplays and whatnot, so you may see that slow down just a little bit for the month of July. I feel like, for me anyways, I do feel like I need kind of a mental break, just, you know, as far as just gaming, as far as with Madden 21. Now, as far as like Madden 22 news, we'll still be back with that kind of content. So this is kind of where we're making that transition to that point, and we'll go from there. So if you guys are looking forward to that, consider subscribing to the channel. I do greatly appreciate it. Now, that doesn't mean we're stopping with the live stream grind though. We are still on Twitch as well, twitch.tv/DranosTV. Go ahead and check me out. Been playing more MLB more than anything, but I don't know. I feel like, you know, with the last month of before Madden 22 comes out, because it comes out in August, I just want to just chill, have fun, just go back to, you know, what video games at the end of the day is really all about, is just have fun. So I might mix it up, play some other stuff that I haven't really had a chance to prioritize in the last, you know, couple months or whatever. So let's go ahead though, jump into the main topic of this video, is the beta. So for those who don't know, the beta was only available for next gen, and I think at this point, this is probably where EA really wants to focus on pushing the game to next gen. Obviously, that's the technology that is superior right now, as opposed to, you know, what the current gen offers right now. Although it's hard to really think that, because we're still at a time where next gen consoles are very, very hard to get. Now, for me, I was super fortunate that I was able to get the first batch of releases for both the Xbox and the PS5. So I'm cool. I'm in a good position where I was able to do that. But I know for some people that I know personally, they aren't as lucky. So I feel like it wasn't right to do a beta strictly for next gen. Now, after that, you know, and learning about that, it kind of makes me think that they're really going to try to prioritize next gen. So just to kind of give you guys some insight there, really the big difference, if you haven't had a chance to play next gen for Madden on 21, and I'm sure you'll probably hear a lot of content creators mention this as well, is the speed of the game. The speed of the game is unlike what current gen has to offer. Whereas with current gen, you're able to use the middle of the field and able to, you know, take away routes and play routes, especially if you know like the route combinations that are getting thrown at you. Whereas with next gen, it's not that simple. You still can use certain aspects of the field, but you're not going to be able to take away every single route, especially like if you're a guard in the middle of the field with safety, linebacker, whatever you decide to do. It's not going to be as easy to do that, just because factors such as acceleration, change of direction, all factor in to your players. And for me anyways, I didn't mind it, because I played next gen from day one when it dropped last year in, what was it, December? So for me, I didn't mind it. I didn't complain to it. I just adjusted to the game. Now, some people, they thought otherwise, they hated it, but it's one of those things, man. Like, the reality of the situation is if that's what wants to push this next gen game, we're just gonna have to adjust. That's just the fact of the matter. So I know for me, I think I'll be okay in terms of making that adjustment, just because I played next gen pretty much for the most part all of this year. So I already know kind of what to expect and how the game plays like. It doesn't play anything like current gen. So that was the biggest thing that I noticed right away, just going from the from Madden 21 to 22 is just the fact that, you know, the player movement's the same. Now, I will say some of the things that really irritated me was the fact that I feel like linebackers are still, to this day, are not usable. I played a handful of games, because I at some point, whenever I was playing the beta, I was like, I feel like I'm just playing Madden 21.5 really at this point, which again, it's a beta. So, you know, I'll cut a little bit of slack in this case because it's not a finished product. But from what I've seen so far, I'm not liking it, just because, again, linebackers, if it continues at this rate, it's going to be just the same thing as last year, where linebackers are not going to be usable. I played a couple games, obviously, with my favorite team, the Seattle Seahawks, and I was getting thrown at my user while I was using Bobby Wagner, and Bobby Wagner wasn't reacting. But what's funny, though, is the moment that I put a safety at linebacker, we played routes. So I didn't like to see that going into the beta. I wish that's something that they could have fixed. You know, just make it to like how it was back in the day, back in what, Madden 17, Madden 18. Make linebackers usable again, because if not, we're gonna see the same meta probably going into 22 with a 3-3-5 wide or nickel normal, whatever, where it's just gonna be 7 safeties in the field, and then your pass rush, and that's it. And linebackers aren't gonna be usable. So I don't know. I didn't like that. And then really just the thing that kills me is the fact that it looks like Gunslinger is something that's going to have to be needed again, which I've been a pretty big critic, you know, talking with other fellow Madden players and also on Twitter as well. The fact that, you know, you shouldn't need to have an ability just to be able to throw a ball. Again, I use Russell Wilson. Of course, I want to use my favorite team in Madden if possible, but you know, with him just floating the ball, not able to zip passes across the middle of the field for certain windows, he's just not usable. Whereas as soon as, and it's funny how quickly I noticed this, it probably had to have been my first like 2 or 3 throws that I noticed this, was when I used the Packers in regs with Aaron Rodgers. It was literally like I mentioned before, where I was playing Madden 21, where Aaron Rodgers was the best quarterback in the game. Number one, because of his release. And then number two, he just had more zip on the ball. It's easily noticeable. There was no questions about it. So I didn't like to see that. And man, I'll be honest, I'm a little disappointed with this beta. I feel like it didn't really show me anything compared to what I was expecting. To me, it felt like I was just playing an upgraded Madden 21. Now, I will say on a positive note, a couple things that they did do right, because I don't want to just make it sound like I'm just completely negative about the game, is they did make it visually, they did make it super nice, which I would hope so, considering that it is on next gen. So I did like how they did that. It looks a lot nicer in my opinion. So if you're a big fan of like aesthetics, then you'll appreciate that. For me, like, it's cool, but it's not the end all be all for me. And then obviously one of the biggest things that they really hammered down on was with the franchise. Listen, I'm not the biggest CFM guy, but at the same time, I do understand that franchise is part of Madden's user base. So, you know, I feel like it should be something where everyone should be able to be happy with it, not just like comp players, casual players, franchise players. Like, we all should be able to enjoy the game for what it is. And I am happy to see that, you know, they are able to get at least something for those guys, because quite frankly, and as someone who has been in competitive CFMs for the past like 4 years, it's pretty much been the same thing for the most part. It hasn't really changed much since then. So it is good to see something different for those guys in this case. So yeah, I mean, outside of that though, I would say the biggest piece of advice I would give you if you want to start prepping for Madden 22 now is, if you have a next gen system at this point, or if you get one within the next couple weeks, because I do see quite a bit of times that there's a handful of, you know, restocks that come through. So if you're lucky to get those and you're wanting to get a head start on playing Madden 22, play Madden 21. The movement is going to be very, very similar to what you see in Madden 22. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'll be doing that probably off stream, just trying to work on kind of some of the things that I want to work on to see if it's going to translate into 22. Just some things really just to keep in mind. But that would probably be the biggest piece of advice, is if you can get Madden 21 next gen, play that for as much as you can, get as many, you know, get some solid reps in, play regs, play whatever you're comfortable with, or whatever you're gonna play next year, play that. And then once you get into Madden 22, you're not going to be feeling like you're like stuck in mud, as some of these other players would say. They're not going to be used to being so slow, whereas with you, because you played it, you're already kind of used to like how to adjust and how to move with specific players. So that would be the biggest piece of advice I would give you. So again, pretty short review. I would say it's not going to be all in depth, like an hour long. I really didn't feel like there was much to say, just kind of giving my thoughts and opinions. If there is any, and I'm sure I probably did miss some things, if there are any things that I missed and you guys want to chime in, drop a comment down below. I'd greatly appreciate it. I might try to do maybe like a roundtable discussion where I get, you know, maybe 1 or 2 other Madden players, and we just kind of talk about, you know, what we expect to see, both from just the gameplay standpoint. And then, you know, obviously for those who don't know, I compete in the MCS as well. Some of my, you know, my crew members as well that I lab with on a day, you know, not now recently, but on, you know, for big tournaments that come up. So may look to try to do a roundtable discussion with them, see kind of, you know, hear their thoughts and see what they thought about the beta. I don't know. We'll see. I am planning to have more of my content centered around and transition more to Madden 22. Probably going to be the end of gameplays, I'll be honest. So hopefully you guys still rock with me. I'll still give my reactions to Madden 22 news as it drops. It's just probably, since we're, you know, we're coming towards the end of June, I kind of want to take a little bit of a break just to refresh my mind. And, you know, whenever the player rankings and stuff like that drop, obviously we're going to be doing tons of videos on that. So a lot of good content all the way. It's just really just a matter of just being patient. So I hope you guys are still rocking with me at that point. And yeah, that's going to go ahead and do it for me, guys. Until the next one, this is Dre Knows, and I'm signing out. Peace.